Hi, and welcome to my channel, Ifsal here again. Today, I will be talking about the facilitation fees, the invisible tax fueling Australia's cost of living crisis. The term facilitation fees, we got it from when I was working long time back over a project related to the World Bank, and we spoke about how to make things get done. And in different countries, different departments used to create some hindrances, and this facilitation fees used to get things done. In other words, this is another name to corruption. So, corruption isn't just a headline, it's why our rent goes up, why our GP wait times grew, and why our taxes now buy less public facilities and care compared to few decades back. In this vlog, I will attempt to show that corruption isn't a standalone issue. It it is the silent amplifier of Australia's biggest problem. Um, Rather problems including housing unaffordability, stagnant or marginally increasing annual wages, and overwhelmed healthcare. Corruption is not always loud, but it's always expensive, especially for those doing the right things. This isn't just a data presentation, it's a reminder that Australia has looked after us, migrant workers, and our families, and in return, we must look after Australia. Actually, all of us are migrant other than the indigenous or First Nation. We must look after Australia. So we may carry memories and affections for the countries we came from, and rightly so. It deserves because those are the places where we grew up. But once we step on this land, once we took the oath or accept its welcome, we also took upon us responsibilities to respect its laws, to protect its system, and to help build its future, not quietly bleed it for our own personal gains. Corruption doesn't always look like a suitcase of cash. Sometimes it is a fake payslip, a ghost job, a false invoice, things we excuse as just a favor or how things work back home. But when these favors pile up, they break the very country that gave us a second chance. So today, let's take a look behind the rising cost of livings and other major issues and see how corruption, often hidden, is fueling it all. So I looked into IPSOS, and it provided information that last month um, uh, how things were looked upon as the major issues by the Australian people. So for them, the first most issue was the 63% voted as the cost of living. Second, voted by 42 percent as the next housing, followed by the economy, followed by the healthcare, and finally the crime. The cost of living is increasing for Australians. No two opinions about it. Um, the rising cost of everyday essentials include energy, prices, groceries, and even transportation. This issue has been a top concern for several months and show no sign of abating. Housing affordability and availability remains a major challenge, with rising house prices and rental costs squeezing household budgets. The lack of affordable housing is impacting young people and families and is a key driver of social inequality. If you look into my previous vlog on this topic or related topic, actually, you will understand I explained how flipping of the plot files and how fake salaries getting approved for the bank loan, home loans, are fueling these costs going up in the housing sector. Third, economic growth has slowed, but concern about inflation, interest rates hike, and the impact of global economic uncertainty is still rising, especially Australian exports recently being even seeing a tariff on it. Number four is healthcare, access to healthcare services, particularly in the regional areas, and the rising cost of medical care are significant concern for many Australians. The COVID pandemic has also placed additional strain on the healthcare system, still recovering because of the initial, I think it was around $20 billion that the Australian government put into the for community uh, survival easement. Fifth, crime. Concerns about crime and law and order have increased, with voters across all major parties expressing worry about rising crime rates and the need for stronger law enforcement. So, how corruption works? Let me give an example. For instance, giving fake references or employing people cash in hand. 1 million cash is pocketed. Um, Job placements and all included. So, how this 1 million normally is distributed? So 30% most likely maximum is reinvested. However, 70% is sent overseas in one form or another. So that totally is a capital flight going out of Australian economy. Tax invasion, workers hide 40% of income. Approximately ATO calculates losses equal to 100 and sorry, if we calculate from the income perspective, ATO will lose about $120,000 in this $1 million fraud. Shadow banking, another factor that is fueling possibly, and at the moment it's a small scale, is crypto or Hawala moves, that through which this 700,000 becomes untraceable. So, real case can be, without taking the name, a Sydney cafe sent 500,000 via Binance Austrac. Fine. Um, Little bit more about it. In housing, how we see the corruption coming in um, is by providing invoices which are 15% inflated. So the rent in the houses goes up. In healthcare, we saw about $2 billion in NDIS frauds, meaning longer waits. This isn't abstract, it's why our life got harder, or the living in is becoming harder. The $9 million RTO fraud was fined only $1 million. That's a 90% discount for crime. Would your local cafe get that deal? Maybe not. So ask yourself, why do we punish petty theft harder than the corporate fraud? Um, this is a call out from none other than the Guardian and Esquire in the system. This isn't hypothetical, it is happening in your suburb. Let's check it. Corruption's domino effect. So once you have done $1 million fraud, or for that matter, even a single dollar, its rippling effect goes on. So how we can see it: cost of living, fraud inflates prices, fake invoices in construction, and prices goes up or rent goes up. Housing corruption in permit contract reduces affordability. Healthcare and DIS fraud, I mentioned just a little while back, diverse fund from hospitals. Economy capital flight starves local investment. Crime fraud profits also fund drug trafficking. The sources are none other than the Australian Construction Industry Forum ACISF reports, which spoke about 10 to 15% cost inflation due to tender rigging and false billing. New South Wales ICAC case can be cited where fake invoice had added $50 million to a housing project, 2023. Um, I can mention few more cases, but okay, let's take another one. A Gretton Institute links corruption to 20% fewer affordable homes in high risk. That's a 2024 report. Case Melbourne Council bribes for zoning changes. Um, NDIS annual report 2024 estimates this $2 billion fraud that we have spoken about. So this ripple effect, in nutshell, a 1 million fraud can lead to up to 2.5 million losses. The breakdown is direct losses about 929,000, capital 5 700,000, lost taxes 229,000, opportunity cost 1.6 million. Shadow economy adds on crypto blockchain issues. So, how this happens, I will explain in the next slide, the calculation made. But the thing is that this 2.5 million loss could have funded 5 regional clinics or built up to 10 social homes. So, let's see how things have been calculated. I have calculated the cost of corruption with the following formula. Cost is equal to initial fraud amount, and you can see I have explained everything, times 1 plus, and the figures are provided. In other words, I'll take a pause so that you can take into account how alpha, beta, gamma, and tax rates and fraction of earnings not declared opportunity costs are added. Opportunity cost is also explained further, is equal to direct cost plus capital flight into multiplier plus lost taxes on investment plus welfare savings from avoiding unemployment. So plugging in direct cost 929 plus capital flight, lost taxes, welfare saving comes to about 2.529 million or 2.5 million, rounding it off broad roundabout. Moving on, corruption role in key sector. If you look, these were the major issues that we were talking about earlier when we commenced this vlog. Housing sector, how corruption comes in through fake construction or vague construction invoices, up to 15% higher cost ABS estimates. Healthcare, um, NDIS ghost workers, up to $2 billion a year is lost. Education, RTO diploma mills, those hardly teach. They have documentation system, but hopefully with the 2025 revised um, RTO's standards plus the Skill First revised 3.0, about which I have also recorded vlogs. So hopefully they will curb this education frauds. But we have seen that a person or the RTO that committed little over $9 million fraud was fined just a $1 million. So which doesn't make crime to be stopped, rather kind of an indirect encouragement. Okay, just pay about one 10% of it, and as it is not a criminal case, you are set free. Wages, cash in hand, is another serious area along with the crypto, until or unless we start treating these cryptocurrencies like banks and tax them, we are going to lose up to $1 billion. That is a report by Ostrich. Um, Moving on, corruption role in other sectors. So it's just not the, see, these RTOs or construction, these are yes, uh, corruption partners, and they are making every issue that we have notified earlier becoming more and more serious. But there is much more to that, and we I looked into the past and I came across different out of which I'm just going to report three. Robodebt scheme between 2015 and 19, Australian government used automated income averaging to claim overpayments from welfare recipients without proper human oversight. And it costed more than 400,000 Australians lot of money in billions dollars. Power Water Cooper tech scandal. Senior partners at Power Water Cooper Australia used confidential government tax information meant for reform consultation to help multinational corporation dodge tax. Still to be estimated how much suffering was done. Job keepers overpayment during COVID 19. Mega companies they deceived by submitting different data and claiming, over claiming the money that government was giving with a good heart, gold heart, to Australians to ensure that they keep the employees employed and lessen the burden on them. Um, Roughly, let me explain you that in RoboRep, over 1.76 billion was unlawfully raised in debt, and suffering were by 400,000 plus Australian. It was kind of taken illegally, blamed to the system, and however, Royal Commission labeled it as a cruel and illegal, with recommendation for criminal referrals against some former officials. An ABC report. Let me take a pause here. Please do not start assuming that only migrant, as I mentioned earlier, are thinking about corruption. It has now seeped into wider, bigger groups and has started affecting the social fabrics we all are woven in, called Australia. So here is the example that I have shared with you, rather three: Robodebt scheme, Power Water Cooper, and Job Keeper. So we should think about how we can reduce these in future for the betterment of all Australians. So how corruption hits common Aussie household? I can give you an example that a Sydney family rent goes up by 20% due to corrupt land deals, nothing of their own doing, others do the corruption, and cost is paid by those who are honest in their practices. Groceries prices 5% up from supply chain kickbacks. Texas 3,000 per year wasted on fraud uh, per taxpayer. Stagnant as a profit flee via crypto wages or hardly increasing or increasing at a marginal rate. So families choose between rent and groceries, while fraudsters they buy Dubai condos. Talking point, fraudsters aren't one hit wonders. 70% reoffend because fines are cheaper than business licenses. Esqua data shows it's a revolving door. Shut down 150 RTOs and they pop up under new names. The 9 million fraudster kept $8 million profit. That's one of the Sydney case I mentioned earlier. That's not a penalty, it's a business model. So every dollar stolen multiplies. $1 million fraud makes a loss to the Australian economy of $2.5 million. Um, I'll move on. The snowball effect, why fraud grows. So that is what Esqua data says. Repeat offenses by 70%. The fraudsters repeat their crimes. Um, Network expand, fake RTOs plus employers collude, 150 shut down in the last 3 years. Um, ABC News, dodgy training colleges. So the five fixes that may work. So let's see what can fix our system. And this is a global lesson. So real-time audits, artificial intelligence can flag fake invoices. And Queensland has done it. It saved $120 million. So why not all the other states learn from them? Clawback laws sees three times fraud profit. UK model. Public contractors dashboard. Brazil cut its kickbacks by 60%. Whistleblower bounties 10% of recovered. US SEC model. Crypto regulations. As I mentioned in my one vlog, crypto, the best model is by Switzerland that meditated and changed and made policies that has ensured hardly any corruption in the transfers money through cryptocurrencies. So crypto regulation mandates KYC for all P2P peer-to-peer transfers. Let's do that. Policymakers cheat sheet. So what policymakers can look into? Just a suggestion. Tax crypto like banks close $1 billion per year laundering loophole. Jail fraudsters, maybe over and above certain amount of money. If somebody makes corruption, regardless in which field it is, it should be treated as a criminal case because ultimately it's the people who suffer, not the person who has done that civil or white collar crime. It will deter the recidivism by at least 70%. That is the case of Norway. So, fund Austrac properly, 300 staff can't track 100 billion plus flaws. Talking point is that we started with the question, why does $1 million cost Australian 2.5 million? Now that we have known, corruption thrives on its own once left alone. The real question is, will 2025 be the year we are able to stop subsidizing or indirectly supporting the fraudsters for a better control on our daily living expenses? Scan the QR code, email your MPs, demand clawbacks, crypto laws, and real penalties, or accept this as your new normal. If you like, um, please do subscribe. So I will leave the viewers with a $2.5 million question. Are we going to make 2025 be the year Australia stop subsidizing frosters? What we have seen today is maybe just the tip of iceberg, a network of small compromises and big cover-ups that together bleed billions from Australia each year. Corruption isn't always obvious, it's hide in plain sight. In inflated invoices, fake diplomas, forged work record, and silent approvals, not to mention uh, fake payslips for the bank approval. And while it may start with just one person trying to get ahead, its impact is felt by millions who falls behind through rising rents, failing services, and disappearing public trust. Maybe the price they pay for being honest and straightforward in their approaches. But here's the truth: Australia doesn't have to go this way. We still have a system that can be restored, institutions that can be strengthened, and voices like yours that can speak up. As migrant workers, taxpayers, and citizens, we owe it to this land and to each other, not just to point fingers, but to hold system accountable, not just to expose what is broken, but to demand what workers' transparency, fairness, and reforms. Because in the end, if we allow corruption to become culture, we rob not only today, we rob our children's of tomorrow. Let's build a future where honesty isn't punished and fairness isn't optional. Thank you for watching this vlog. If it resonates with you, share it, like it, subscribe it, and talk about it. Challenge the silence, because silence is how corruption survives. And speaking up, that's how we start to defeat it. Corruption isn't an inevitable, it is a policy choice. So let's choose better. I hope you have enjoyed. I'll see you again soon with another topic. Till then, it's goodbye from my side. You take care.